If everybody can listen up.
Hi, I'm Angela. I apologize. I'm just getting over a cold, so my voice is a little gone. If you can't hear me, just yell at me to speak up, and I'll try and increase the volume for you. I'm going to be leading this workshop. We're going to be making some pop-up Valentines. Everybody should have a template in front of them, a little LED, a battery, and a button. There's also some copper tape out on the tables. We're going to share that, and we're going to share the scissors and the clear tape.
Yeah. Hey guys, I'm Amanda Clark. I work here in education. I'm the project manager, and I'm really, really excited about this class tonight. We came up with these really cool little templates and had fun with them and redesigned them over and over again, and I think we got them to a really good point. So I hope you have a really fun time tonight, and we're all here to answer your questions and anything you want to talk about related to this. And this is Pamela. Do you want to say a little?
I'm a technical designer here at SparkFun, and if you have any questions throughout this whole class, I'll be walking around and I can help you guys.
So thanks for coming. It's great. Here's the pen.
So a few of you have started folding. That's great. If you haven't seen the demos, we have some demos for you to try out. Just a note, if I didn't tell you when we were handing out the templates, the pixelated heart is a little bit more difficult of a pattern because we have so many little bends. I have some tricks I'm going to show you later on how to get that to kind of pop up on its own. All these templates are laser cut with perforations, so we're not going to do any X-Acto knife cutting today. I think that takes too long. We really want to focus on the circuits. So we're going to get started with the pop-ups really quickly and then move on to making them light up. So I'm just going to go over each of the templates individually. So if you have the I Love You template, I tried to make a big one. If anyone can see it, it's got some contrasting outlines. What I found when I was folding this is that if you have that little piece of vellum, that heart, it's easiest to stick that on first before you start folding. So we have some tape. We also have some rubber cement if you want to put that together. It's hard to get behind that heart once you have it all popped up. Another trick is if you start folding this pattern right at the bottom of the U or the I and push it from behind out and down, it should start to pop down on. This is not cardstock, so it's a little unwieldy for me to show you. But if you start pushing those down, the templates sort of have their own natural way that they want to pop up. So I started with the bottom of my eye. I'm just pressing that down. If you're having trouble grabbing those pieces, we have some tweezers out on the tables, and you can use those to kind of get behind these pieces and pull them out and then press them down with your fingers. Amanda and Pamela are going to walk around if you're having trouble folding and help you out, because we've all built these a few times already, so we've kind of got that sense of what works and what doesn't with the cardstock.
Yeah, like the little perks and stuff we can help you with.
So this one's pretty straightforward. You just start bending the tops and the bottoms, and then you can bend. There's a little line on your template out, and so this one will pop out forward. The heart will pop out forward too. If it's easier for you to work backwards and push them out backwards, that works as well. I'm not going to do too much demoing of the folding because that's one of those things where you really have to be experiencing it yourself. There's no one way that works for everybody. For the heart, seems a little intimidating because we've got a billion little pieces that all pop up. But I found when I was making these, if you turn it upside down and you pull that very first fold at the bottom of the heart and press it up and get that started, you can sort of work your way down and pull them out one at a time. Once you get it started with the cardstock, you can actually press the whole page down and the heart will start to pop out by itself. So getting that first piece is really going to help you get the rest of the fold to naturally cascade. And I can come around and help out with that one. That one's a little bit trickier. So we'll leave a few minutes for everyone to get folding. If you want to take the vellum hearts in there. If anyone's having problems, just slide one of us down. We'll help you.
It just takes a little time.
Clear would be white. Yellow, green, and red are pretty much the most common. So for anybody who may be following along with our recorded version or wants to make another version of these, we have downloadable templates. They're linked in the YouTube description. Those you're going to have to cut out yourself. We do not have a pre-delivered laser cut one to give to you for that. But it does, once you have the idea of building the pre-cut one, then building the next one is a little easier because you know where the cuts are and where the folds are.
I'm thinking this is supposed to come this way. You want this
So you want to, I would actually cut out the ones that you want to do. This is where these ones are in back.
This is supposed to be lifted up. So and then you can kind of run your finger through too as you're doing it. Well, that's why I was trying to sort of pull this up, because just be careful with everything. So in order to get that up, then am I taking that way? Yeah, exactly. That's how we do it. And then all of them kind of follow
Yeah, see how it's doing it? So you kind of want to just keep doing it like that, and then eventually those folds will start to really get into place. Plus it's a thin Do one at a time? Yeah. How you
And if anyone wants to see the pre-made demos to help you get an idea of the folding, we have a couple that we can hand around.
It's good.
It's good.
Yeah. I feel like I'm gonna rip it or something.
It's pretty sturdy, and it'll naturally want to fold on this one. Once these get going, see how it's starting to come forward? What thing?
Oh, she used it as like
So is anyone having trouble folding? Are we all pretty much ready to move on to lighting things up? That's my favorite part. I do enjoy folding, but lighting up is more fun for me.
So you need help at all?
All right, so now I'm going to talk about electricity a little bit, because we're going to be using it in our cards. I'm sure many of you are familiar with this little circuit diagram here with a battery, a push-button switch. That little thing on the bottom is an LED. Have you ever done this in school? Usually, like, it's a big light bulb, a big battery, and a big kind of open and shut switch. We're going to be doing that exact same concept, but we're going to be using different materials. Instead of wire, instead of soldering, we're going to actually be taping things together with copper tape. So that copper tape is conductive. It'll let the electricity pass through, and we just have to stick it down and then connect our components to it to let the circuit be completed. If you've seen the little demos open, you see the tape looks a little similar to that slide. It's just basically a big loop that the electricity follows from our battery to our LED, and we're interrupting that flow with the switch. So your card is only going to be on when you push that switch down and let the electricity pass through like a little bridge. Here's a big example of that's in the I love you cards. The heart cards are going to look slightly different, but same concept. So we have a path from the battery, from the negative side of the battery, which is the bottom side of these batteries, to our LED, and then the other side of the LED connects to the positive side of the battery, and in between those two is our switch to turn it on and off. Does anybody not have these components on my slide? Do you need your battery, your LED, or your button? If you don't have them, we'll come around and hand those out. A little bit about copper tape. I really enjoy working with it. Couple pros. It's very, very conductive. It's peel and stick, which anyone who's a crafter, this will be really great for your crafting mind. It's easy to get that idea of you're just sticking along the path that you want. You can actually solder to it if you like to solder. It will hold up to that. You can use conductive paints to paint connections with your components. We're just going to be taping them down for the cards. It works really well for flat things. Cons of the tape. You have to create a continuous line when you're creating a circuit. If we break that tape, we're breaking our circuit. So we want to make sure we have one piece of tape connecting one side of one component to another or to the battery. Because tape doesn't really like to go around curves that well, we're going to be doing a corner. If you break your tape at the corner, it's not going to work. So we're going to be doing a fold around that corner, similar to if you've ever done gift wrapping and you have to wrap the ends. So we can do that with the tape. The adhesive is not conductive, so we want to make sure anytime we're connecting two pieces of tape or the tape to our component that we're doing the shiny side, the non-sticky side to our metal parts of our components on our LED or to our battery. And the template's designed so that basically we just have to follow that path and stick things on. And then we can do a little bit of troubleshooting as we start building if you're having trouble lining those things up. One thing I want to say before we get working with the tape, it will give you a pretty nasty paper cut, so be careful. So I have this, I'm going to leave this slide up here and have everybody build together. I know we're working on two different templates, but the process is pretty much the same. And I want to start with making the battery holder. So on the template, it says leave about a 2-inch tail of tape. And that's how we're actually going to construct our battery holder out of the tape. Rather than put a big, bulky battery holder pack in there, we can use the tape to our advantage. I have my big demo. So this is, for our purposes, our conductive tape. This one's upside down from the picture, but when you get to your end, so for you, those of you using the I Love You, you can start at where the button is and start pushing down a little bit of tape at a time, about 2 to 3 inches, peel off the backing and push down, and just follow that gray line. For those of you with the heart, we're gonna have to go around a corner. If you wanna go around the corner, I can explain that briefly, or we can start with the end of the battery holder and do it that way. But the way the battery holder works is it's just a little tab, and we're going to tape it down to hold it. So because, remember I mentioned earlier, the sticky side is not conductive, we're going to have to actually fold it on itself to make it conductive on the bottom. As you can see in that picture, before I put the battery in, there's a little tab. It's folded over, and I can show you on this one. I put my tape down. I left myself a good amount of room at the end, and I'm just literally sticking it to itself. And then I have this tab. And this is a way you can make the battery holder, or if you also wanted to make a switch this way, it works the same way. So here's my battery. So when I put my battery in, we're actually going to sandwich the battery in between that tape. So there's a piece of tape that runs all the way underneath our battery till about the center of the battery. If you look on your template, you should see it goes to about the center of that circle. And that's going to be the negative side, so the bottom of the battery is the negative side. For those of you who want to open your batteries up and see, the writing is on the top side and it's marked with a positive.
Start with that.
Yeah, so we can start with that. So we're just making a tab. It's okay if it goes over the edge of the battery. Mine's nicely lined up with the center, but if you go over, that's okay, as long as it doesn't touch your tape that's underneath the battery.
Right. We just don't want negative touching positive.
Right, so we're going to make a short circuit and just completely bypass our battery if we can connect all the tape together. The template should have enough room so that doesn't happen, but if it does, and you have copper tape that goes somewhere where you don't want to, you can just peel it up and use your scissors to cut it. It's not a permanent adhesive, so we can rearrange if we need to. So let's all try making that tab and putting our battery in.
So which of these just all the way up?
So I'm not sure.
If you're cutting your tape, about like a foot of tape is a good amount to work with. And we're going to be using smaller pieces, so each of those gray lines is a separate section of tape.
Separate. No, this is no. These are separate. Yeah, this is a whole. Yeah, so it's like one piece here. Right. This could be a separate piece.
Once you take that,
Yeah, so the sticky.
pretty much.
I'm going to do the corners right now. Okay, for those of you who are doing corners, there's one right next to that battery holder in the heart. If you need help with the corners, I'm going to demonstrate that right now.
She has the big.
So for those of you who have a corner that you need to navigate, everybody has at least one corner in their template, so nobody gets to get out of this part. If you get up to the edge, I go right to the edge of my gray line, and then fold your tape backwards. You're going to create a crease. So I'm folding it back the direction I came from. And then, just like you were wrapping a present, you can create that kind of 45-degree angle. Can everybody see that? So I just use that edge as a pivot point, and then I can fold it over here and stick it down. And that way we're keeping this one continuous line of tape, but it's navigating that corner without getting bunched up, without getting torn. And if you need help, we'll be coming around with that.
I cut this. Okay. So was I supposed to just do the full thing? Yeah. Actually, all you do is you want to see that. There's actually a little spot that's like you don't want to because this is your positive line and this is your negative line. Yeah. So just
So we just had a question about like how much copper tape do you need a specific amount to make the circuit work? No. You can use the shortest amount of tape that gets you from point A to point B. For these templates, I designed them so that they fit nicely under your pop-up. That's why they're different shapes. If you were making your own circuit, you could just go the shortest distance. You could go the longest distance if you wanted. It might not be as fun of an activity. Or maybe you like designing visual parts with your tape. That's totally doable too. You could show off the tape as part of your design. It doesn't have to be hidden underneath that pop-up.
Share.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so. Okay. Sure. And then you line it.
But I can't put this down and run this on
And then the same thing on the other side here. Just on the other side.
Okay. Yeah, you pull it back.
So it looks like everyone's doing really well with not breaking their tape, but if you do, there is a way that you can fix it, so we can go over that if anyone has a break or a tear in their tape. It's similar to what we did with the tab for the battery. We're just connecting a shiny side to shiny side. Cut this end off. So it's going to bridge those two. So a few of you are ready to put on your components, so I'm going to start talking about that. It's okay if you're not there yet. We got plenty of time to do that.
I just want to make sure about just cutting it as opposed to folding it.
So for anyone who's ready to start putting their light in their circuit, if you haven't taped your battery down yet, we can do a little experiment with that.
Do I want to cut right at this place?
Yes.
Cut, no, fold.
It's gonna
Do that. Because it has to be, right?
exactly.
So if you haven't opened up your battery yet, we can take some scissors or use your teeth if you prefer. Open that up and take out your battery. And we can test our LED before we put it into our circuit. Mine's not going to be pretty and light up for you. It's just a prop, so you'll have to use your imagination. But everyone should have an LED. Looks like this. Yours is pretty tiny. Mine's a little shorter than yours will be. But if you take a look at that, you can see that there's one wire that's a little bit longer than the other one. So these have polarity, which means they plug in one way. So there's a positive and a negative side. If you plug it in backwards, it's not going to work. It's not going to break. That's the way that the LEDs work. They're diodes, so they only let electricity flow one way. A good way to test this out is if you have your battery open and you look at your side that has the writing on it, that's the positive side. Test out by just putting your wires of your LED, one on one side and one on the other. And it should light up. If it doesn't light up, try it the reverse way. And that's how you can test which side is positive and negative if you need that visual feedback. Another trick is to see which one's the longer, which one's the shorter. Longer is positive, shorter is negative. And a third trick, if you like having all your options, is most LEDs have a flat side on the bulb. That is the negative side as well. So you can kind of look straight down at them and see. These ones are really tiny, so that trick might not work as well. But for big ones, that helps too. Sometimes you're in a situation where you don't have a battery, you can just stick your LED on, and you'll have to use your other methods to figure out which side is the positive and which side is the negative. So did everybody try that out? So if I just took my LED and I stuck it right on my Valentine, it's a little tall for that, so we're going to bend them so that they sit flat on the paper. And once we start bending those wires, we kind of lose that visual reference, which one is longer and which one is shorter. So this is a trick another person in the education department, Brian, came up with of visually bending them in different ways so that we can remember which side's positive and which side's negative. If you see on the slide, the positive one, we're zigzagging and keeping it very, very long. And the negative one, we're curling, so it's very, very short. So we're taking that idea that we had right here and we're exaggerating it so we can tell. So you're not going to be able to put it in backwards because you have very, very visually different parts of your wire to look at. And it's also on your template. I might be covered with tape right now, but it had the squiggly and the spiral for you to see. And that's a picture of it plugged in. There are pliers around. We don't have a set for everyone, so you have to share. I'm going to use my hand pliers to do this. What I like to do first is do the positive because I find that zigzagging is easier for me than spiraling. And you can just bend it, and you can even bend this part with your hands. Bend it flat. Be careful using pressure with the pliers. You can rip these wires out of your light if you're too forceful with it. So that's why I recommend just bending that first bend with your hand so it's gentle, and then you can use the pliers to make the zigzags. So I'm just going to bend mine. They don't have to be exact. This isn't an electrical property. This is a totally visual property for you to understand the circuit. It has nothing to do. You could make it a different shape if you like. If you don't like zigzags, good, just make a different shape than the other side. So I did my zigzag, that's my positive. I'm going to do my negative with my swirl. There is a trick with pliers and you're bending LEDs. If you grab the very end, let's say my hand is my plier, and you just do one twist, and then you take your pliers out, grab it again, and do another twist. It will naturally start to spiral for you. So you don't do it in one big twist. You can get the pliers actually stuck in the wire, so you can just do a little bit of a twist at a time. So I'll give you a couple minutes to get started on that. If anyone has any questions, we'll be around to help you out. If anyone needs any pliers, we can redistribute them as needed. So for those of you who've bent, this picture is a little misleading. We want to make sure our light points up, so it's flat on the paper. So you can test that out by just putting it on the paper. If you need to, you can adjust those wires. If it's facing sideways, you're going to get light out of the side of your card. I don't think that's what anyone's going for. We want it right in the middle of our design. So for those of you who have an LED that's ready to go on your circuit, you can tape it down. So we just want to make sure that there's a strong connection. It can lay right on top of that copper tape. And just push it down, put some clear tape on it, and hold it to the copper tape. Make sure you're aligned in the right way, so the little spiral is going to go on the negative side. There should be a label on your template, and the zigzag is going to go on the positive side. And if you tape your battery in, you'll notice that we have a gap in our circuit where a button goes. So it's not going to turn on until we put that button in there. So for your batteries, the negative is the bottom side. So for those of you who are taping your battery down, you want to tape it down after you put this tab over it. If you put the tape between, the clear tape between your battery and the tab, we're not making that electrical connection. So you want to sandwich that battery in between the copper tape before you use the clear tape to stick it.
So before I cut this right but I'm holding this down.
It's going to hold it on itself.
And then it's going to come down. And then I'm going to take
battery. So we're using a little copper tape
on itself.
and the sticky is right to
Hold it back.
and then it should hold right over the battery. And the tape is supposed to hold
How you doing over here?
Good.
Yeah? You get that figured out?
I think so. I yeah, I don't So where's the tape go?
So for those of you who are ready for the final step of your circuit, there's a button. And these buttons are actually from the LilyPad sewable system. That's what these holes are for. But they also make great buttons for paper circuits because they have these really big metal pads on them. And they make good contact with that tape. So on your template, you'll see there's a little thing that looks like the button. We want to line that button up over your tape. On the back of it, mine doesn't have a back because it's just a prop. There's also that metal pad. We want to make sure that's touching the conductive tape on both sides, so it's creating that bridge. I'm going to stick mine in my circuit. A good thing to do is if you can see the copper tape through the holes, you're good. You've got a good alignment. So I'm just going to line it up and stick it on there. You'll see there are little labels. There's a negative and an S. These buttons aren't polarized. They don't have like a polarity like the LEDs do. You can put them on either way.
Does the copper have to go all the way across the hole?
And the copper doesn't need to go all the way underneath it. We want the copper to stop on either end. Because the only time we want the electricity to go through is when we press that button. So we're actually making that connection with that button. If your copper tape is a little bit too close and it's going all the way across the button, we can just peel it a little bit of it up, use our scissors and trim it back. So if anyone's having that problem, I can come around and help you with that. And when you tape them down, you can literally, just like we did with our LED, put our tape over it and hold it down to the paper. If you put tape over the middle of the button where you press, it might get stuck down. So I use 2 pieces of tape, one in the bottom and one in the top, so we don't interfere with that button press. And once you do that and you have your battery in, you should be able to test out your circuit. So once you get that button down, your circuit is pretty much done, and then the rest of this time you can use to customize your project. We have some craft materials and stickers over on the side table, some markers. We also have a paper cutter for those of you who have the templates. You don't have to cut them out by hand. You can use the paper cutter. It's over here on the left. What I like to do, and we have a couple of these stickers that say push, clear stickers that say push. If you want to mark on your card where that push button is for your Valentine, because it's sort of a mystery otherwise. For the I Love You template, there's a little heart right over where the button is. We have stickers that are that exact size. You can just stick them right on top. And then how are you attaching? It's like a so you can put this up if you want. So if you were to make your own heart, you'll need to send that battery. Yeah, you can take it out or you can use cement or whatever you want. This is going over rubber cement and contact with the tape and it's going to continue sliding. So you're going to put one time to light up any more LEDs to give you battery power. So you have to use a bigger one.
Yeah. No.
I have a sticker, but it would be terrible. So these are pretty cool. So you maybe want to go Yeah, we can definitely talk about that. Great. So one note, we do have envelopes if you wanted to, I know it's a few days away. Try and mail them out parcel post if you can so they don't get smushed, the LEDs don't get smushed by sorting machines because we had this issue with smushed LEDs. It's kind of disappointing to spend all this time making a great circuit and then having the postal service crush it on yours. So for anyone who is not having something magical happen with their circuit, this is pretty common when you're working with circuits, especially with crafty circuits. I can come around and help you troubleshoot. The first thing, whenever I'm working with these kind of projects, is I test the battery. If you tested your battery earlier and you got your light to light up, then you know it's not the battery power. There are different parts of the circuit that you can test along the way to see where that failure might happen. When you're working.
Yeah, well, I have to check your line and see if
There, so let's use sometimes when you bend the LED, it can get so as you try yeah, so you can fold along this line, and then that will just sit right in the middle. I try to design it now that we're talking about. Far more So for those of you who are getting ready to fold it, maybe put it in an envelope. It's not going to go entirely flat. We do have a light in there. We tried to pick the smallest one that we could get. So be careful when you're folding it that you don't poke that light through your envelope. And you can just tape the pop-up part or glue the pop-up part right into your circuit. Did you want some? Yeah. So we've got a big stack of envelopes over here. So you don't have to share your card
I'm like, can we?
So for those of you who want to try this with other hard designs, you have the skill set now to do a paper circuit. Basically, you just need to do the same type of design. It might vary depending on your personal or if you're trying to line it up with another pop-up card. The way that we came to these is that we actually just found pop-up templates online and adapted those to our circuits. So if you wanted to do another holiday, let's say you want to do one for Mother's Day or for Christmas, you could look up free templates online, kind of figure out, fold it, and figure out where you want your light to shine through, mark a piece of paper underneath, and then you can design your own circuit with the tape and do what we did today. I also have this entire presentation up on a link in the YouTube video that we're recording today, so if you wanted to refer back to it for those folding techniques or for ways to use LEDs, you can look at that. These templates are also downloadable, so you can make a new one.
Also, I'm going to go ahead and print out a bunch of copies of the wish list for SparkFun. So if you want to do this again, you'll have a list of everything that you need to buy in order to make one. So I'll go do that for you guys. Yeah, I'll go make one.
Circuit. LEDs in my card. Somebody over here wanted to experiment with that. What we do is we connect them all across. This is not to scale. So instead of just jumping from one to the next, we can actually put them in the row. This is called a parallel circuit. We want to make sure each one has a connection to that positive and that negative line. Say I wanted to add 3 in there. So that's how you would add multiple LEDs. To add multiple LEDs to this circuit, we've already put down our copper tape, so you might not have room, but this would be a good thing to experiment with a future project that you're making. Just want to make sure you have enough room to line those up. Does that make sense to everybody? You can also experiment with making a switch. If you don't have one of these buttons, you can use that same tab technique that we use for the battery, but instead of putting a battery underneath, you would just put another piece of tape on the other side so that when you press the tape down, it makes that connection. That's all the instructions I have for you. Looks like everybody has a successful circuit and we're customizing our Valentine. So thank you very much for joining us. I hope you had a good time. Amanda's printing out those wish lists, so if you wanted to see exactly what materials you need to try one on your own in the future. And also we have a feedback survey. We'd love to get your opinion on this class. We'd like to do more with paper circuits, so let us know what you liked, what you didn't like, and she's going to be handing those out too. There's a link that you can go to and fill out the survey. So I know it's very far in advance, but we also have a Christmas card paper circuits workshop scheduled for this December. I'm working on the templates right now for that. So they will be polished and ready for you to craft in like 8 months time, 9 months time. But we'd love to see if you come up with your own designs. We'd love to see projects. You send us an email at education@sparkfun.com. And show us what experiments you came up with copper tape. Where you're building and start to change your own. Oh yeah, that's perfect. So I'll hand these out. You want to hand those out?
Yep, and then, yep. And I need to figure out the class attendance sheet. It's all screwy.
So I'm going to go and hand out around the wish list so you can see exactly what materials we used today if you wanted to purchase some to play with on your own. And the LEDs, you can get different sizes and different colors. If you're not stuck with red, we do have other colors available. So that's just an example. And if you're like me and you like giant things, we also have a larger width of the copper tape. I believe it's about 1.5 to 2 inches. So if you want to do a basic example, if you're teaching other people how to use it, if you're in a classroom setting, it's really great. as a demo. Instead of trying to show a little tiny 5mm tape, you can use the big copper tape.
Yeah, we might be having emergency classes, but that's pretty much.
Just a note on these wish lists, they print it out with our cost. This is not the retail cost of any card now. I just noticed that.
We know October 18th, but it's a ways away. We may add another year.
So keep that in mind. There might be difference. You going to
I'm trying back. For sure.
Also, I stopped. Oh, now of course when you look at lights up. Thanks so much.
So you may have to just kind of push things down. That's fine. Yeah. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, I noticed that with my too. It's really hard. It just becomes spotty. So through charger if everything's pushed together. Sometimes the popup cards are does that make sense?
Yeah.
So we should be able to use probably you can just press it up here.
Oh, okay.
Like now it's probably in infinity for Flora. I mean there's a picture of like you can go yeah, there's just a connection. You can just So it may just need to be tied in your education. But yeah, most of the time, one of your components just has to flatten out. Okay. The connection.
It starts to open your mind once you start playing with those projects. Like, what are those?
I've never seen this.
So this is so imagination goes. We've been talking a lot about how to make easy ones like this for the negotiator audience, so they can show them right now scary, right? So, right. And those are mostly like, I don't think the projects are it's not expensive, right?
So we should chat.
Especially last right, yeah. Exactly, yeah. There's no soldering, there's no cooking. It's like it looks what this piece is, which is such an easy man, it's an easy, it's very